Oh my goodness!
Happy Monday morning, everybody. Josh, dude. Look what I got in the mail.
You know what's funny? I know you didn't get that from me. That's the crazy part. Man. So I am terrible at going to the post, the post office. I literally have a bin full of about 2 or 3 dozen packages that have to go out. Right. Yours is one of them. Your sister's is also one of them. And I'm feeling remiss here.
So I posted something, he's your business partner, so it's all the same thing. But Ian said something on Facebook, and it was it was one of those things where it was like, tell me your favorite movie quote.
Yep.
And I'll give you a free Hard Money Bankers shirt. Well, instead of doing that, I just said, pay attention, everybody. This is how you market. Because I love recognizing and supporting and calling out good marketing, not only for the person who's doing it, but also for other people who are looking in at that. A lot of people, it's become very popular on Facebook, the engagement type posts, and I absolutely hate it. But if you do something where you're also adding value, like just a stupid free t-shirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all due respect, it ups the content and the marketing value and everything like that. And it's just a great way to get out there. So Ian said, Judah, for your comment, because you threw a little bit of love in our direction, you still get a free t-shirt. So I'm wearing the free t-shirt today. I've wanted to wear it on the show for a while. I got to tell you, Josh, you got to do something where you give these away to people, because it's a nice, soft,
dude, that's what I was gonna say.
A high quality cotton t-shirt.
All right, so Ian, we were right before the show went live. We were talking about processes, right? Yep. We're talking about process and integrating and like putting all the pieces of your business together so that it's repetitive and easy, right?
Yeah.
We have one of my partners did that on the t-shirt delivery. One of them didn't. I'm working on that. We're trying to get better every day, right?
Right,
so,
right.
Bottom line is, everybody out there that I promise you a t-shirt or a book, I swear I have them. I'm going to go to the post office this week, and you can call me out, Judah.
I'm holding you accountable. So, Josh, one of the things
they're not sent out.
Yep.
Trouble or nothing. I don't know. You string me up.
One of the things that Josh and I do, because we're working on some real estate deals together, we're working on the show together, we're obviously creating other content, is we talk about executables and action items and things like that. Yep. So, Josh, I will be adding to the things that I am holding you accountable for.
And
are you mailing to our loyal listeners our t-shirt? So welcome, everybody. By way of quick introductions, for those of you that don't know, my name is Judah Hoover. I am a real estate investor and a realtor. This guy right over here is Josh Weidman. He's a real estate investor and a hard money lender. And we have a show that we bring to people at noon where we talk about topics that are relevant to people who are real estate investors or realtors or lenders or title companies. So the show is called Build and Grow with Real Estate. And our goal, our hope, is that you find that real estate is as profitable for you as it has been for Josh and I, both in making money and also in as a way of generating wealth. And Josh, I got to tell you, I was spending some time with a friend of ours and a friend of the show recently, and we were talking about, do they work 10 to 15 hours a week?
Yeah.
And this person, best I can tell, makes, 6 figures to almost 100 to 150 a year.
Right.
And they work about 15 minutes a day. Now, sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours, but on average, like that 4-hour work week, their week with real estate. And they've done it by being a service provider to the real estate industry and by being a rental property owner. And by real estate, by applying real estate principles and strict financial discipline, they have been able to execute on the 4-hour work week.
What you know what's interesting about those just a few hours of the 4-hour work week is not about doing less. It's not about doing less for your customers. It's actually about doing more for your customers by doing less individually and working on your business instead of in your business. And, it's amazing when you twist the perspective. I mean, we talk about this a lot, where you look at certain things in a certain way. You got your blinders on and it's just one way or not. When you start twisting the perspective, all of a sudden you realize, my goodness, I just sat here and returned emails to people who are never going to, fill in the blank.
Right.
Whether it's buy or whether it's sell or whether it's borrow or lend or whatever.
Sign up for your services. Yeah. Whatever. They're never going to be a client. Yep.
That's exactly right. Instead of focusing on either finding the people that are going to pull the trigger or positioning yourself in such a way that you're much more attractive, that you're either the only game in town or the most attractive game in town. So when they are going to use your service, they're going to buy with you. And Matt, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us here. I'm sorry to divert from the conversation here, but
yeah, I think one of the things that I found, and one of the things that I really look at in my business is I've done studies of my business. Where are my leads coming from, and where are my current closed transactions coming from?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what I'm selling. I always look at these things, right? And so what is the timeline between somebody coming into my world and then being a closed sale? Now,
right.
Sometime in the mortgage world, it would take another, 30 to 45 days till they were closed. And certainly that happens in the real estate world and other widgets I've been selling. But when was it like, okay, I'm going to make money off of this person? And by and large, that happens in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what I spent, before I knew that, I used to spend a lot of time, and I believe that the fortune is in the follow-up, but I realized that, my follow-up efforts should be on people that have contacted me in the first 2 weeks. Yeah. My follow-up efforts should be calling somebody on Monday and then shooting them an email on Tuesday and then doing a phone call or a text message on Thursday or Friday, and then maybe touching them once or twice the following week. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't follow up with people still once every week or two that have been in my system for 3 months. Kind of 3 months is I'm following up with them every 2 weeks. But that's an automated touch. That's a drip campaign. Mm-hmm. That's a blast message text mail or a blast message voicemail. You know what I mean?
Well,
so that's what I do.
Well, Judah, the interesting thing that you touched on here that is so relevant is that because of technology, we're able to expand or leverage our time that we're putting in. And really what it comes down to, I think, in business in general, is that number one, there is an important and essential part of being one-on-one with someone, face-to-face time or phone time or focused attention. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, I think about how much time I spend on a loan. And, thankfully I have a great back-end office that handles a lot of the heavy lifting. But the interaction, it's analyzing the property, going to see it, and approving the loan. We're talking about maybe 2 or 3 hours of time that's invested in a loan. And, it's not a significant amount of time, but it's the most essential. And then the rest of my time is leverage sitting here talking to you, talking to everybody on Facebook and trying to add value to their lives and their businesses so that, hey, maybe one day you guys are going to call me up for a hard money loan, or better yet, we're going to become good friends. Like that to me, like that's a huge deposit in the bank.
Yeah, right? I love that you said friends like that, because Becca Shea, she's a little bit of a thought leader here in the area, and her and I were talking about finding a tenant for one of her properties and things like that. And she brought it onto my system last week, and I was reaching out to team members today to just kind of follow up and say, hey, where are we at with this? Are we moving forward? Can you be sure that we hit these milestones at this time? And I described Becca as somebody who's an existing client and personal friend. And that's one of the things that I love the most about serving the real estate investor community, serving the real estate community, and being a real estate investor is how many friends that I've made. I was talking with somebody on that same note. I was talking with somebody this morning, and they're like, "Hey, what are you up to? What do you got going on? You know, it's a rainy Monday morning. How are you doing getting back to work?" And I said, I'm going a little bit slow. I'm actually sitting here on my couch, sipping coffee and Facebooking. But what my Facebooking was answering a bunch of questions in real estate related groups, and just kind of spread the knowledge and sharing the love and everything like that. And I wasn't like, "Hey, here's the answer to your question, and by the way, call me the next time you're ready to list a house. Here's somebody who you should call for an insurance agent. And by the way, if you ever need property management services, give me a call." I was just interested in, John, a thought leader. That's a good one. That's people who don't like to call themselves gurus or coaches or whatever, call themselves a thought leader. So anyway, the point is that I was, and I don't know, was that working? Was that hour I spent this morning, it was giving value to the real estate investor community. It was helping my fellow real estate investors. And it was also kind of raising my profile. And it's funny because I think that if that is a way that you can work without it actually feeling like working. And this other person who works 15 minutes a day, and I know, Josh, you're like this, think about how much time we spend working that isn't work. This show isn't work for me.
Well, Judah, okay, so let's, all right. We had Tony Mayo on the show a couple months ago. Tony and I worked together for 2 or 3 years as a business coach. He was my business coach, and every 2 weeks, we'd sit for 45 minutes to an hour and talk about what's going on in business and this and that and the other thing. One of the first things that he taught me is that there's no difference between your work life and your personal life. You have life, and like the hours are the hours. You can put them anywhere you want. Right. And so if you're going to put the hours in, why not put them in places that, number one, you're good at, number one, that you enjoy, or number two, that you enjoy, and number three, that are going to be most effective in your business. And the other things, outsource them. If you're not, if you're not good at sales, hire a salesman. If you're not good at closing, hire a closer. If you're not good at construction, hire a contractor. That's it.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm an executive in my one day job at Slate House Group, and there's times that they ask me to do paperwork stuff, and I have to tell people, I'm like, guys, I'm a leader in this company. And I'm committed to this company, and therefore I will suck it up and I will do this task or that task.
Right.
But just so you know, I'm bad at it.
Right.
It makes me grumpy. I'm going to make mistakes. We should have somebody else doing this. We need to have somebody else doing this because I'm not good at it. I can do all of these other things that nobody else wants to do.
Right.
I eat cold calls for breakfast. Bring them on. Let's go.
Exactly.
I'm the guy in our company I'm one of like 2 or 3 people in our company that's going to take calls on a Saturday, or will, Sunday morning before church, like I'm getting ready because I'm hosting Zoom church and everything like that. And while that's all kind of loading up and everything like that, I'm just in the background sending out marketing emails and touching base with people and things like that. I'm willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do, but there's also things that I've identified that I just flat out should not be doing because I'm not good at it. And you've got to have the courage to be able to say to the people around you, I'm not good at this. Well, we need to have somebody else do this.
Exactly. So let's start now that we're halfway through our show time, let's talk about thankfulness and how that relates. I mean, look, thank goodness we live in a world and in an environment where you can pick up the phone and find somebody to do the things that you don't want to do, or go on the online and go to guru.com and hire somebody to do
Uber.com?
Guru.
Guru.
Guru. Guru. Guru.com. It's an outsourced site. You can hire people from all over the world to do almost anything you want them to do.
That's new to me, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, look, Upwork is another one. There's a lot of them out there. But the bottom line is things we're thankful for. We just came out of Thanksgiving, a long weekend. I had a phenomenal couple of days. It was really great, really restful. It sounds like you had a pretty nice weekend yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. I got 5 skydives in this weekend, my friend.
Whoa!
Yep.
Look at this, and you still showed up.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, think about it. It was great weather. So
yeah, it really was. It really was. We had a great weekend. So things that we're thankful for. I mean, I got to tell you, we were talking about this before the show and preparing for today's podcast. We were talking about kind of going through some difficult patches in life, right? And in looking back in some of the more difficult times that I've had, one of my biggest takeaways is that being thankful for what you have, even if it feels like nothing, even if it feels like at the bottom, when you start listing out all of the great things that are going on in your life, instead of focusing on the negative things, it's amazing how it's such an uplift in your spirit. It's such a new perspective on life. I mean, even if you're homeless and you have no money in the bank, you can be thankful that you're still walking around on 2 feet. You can be thankful that, you've got somebody that loves you. You can be thankful that it's not raining on your head, even if you're sitting outside, or you have a coat or a pair of socks or a meal to eat. And, I saw a statistic somewhere, and excuse me, this is pulled out of the air, but if you have a place to sleep, a roof over your head, and 3 meals a day, you're in the top 10% of the world,
right,
as far as living standard. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on cutting out 1 or 2 of those meals a day as I stand on the scale. I think that I need to do that. Yeah, I'm very thankful for the people who are members of our audience. Yeah. I think that for the past 15 years, I've been, to use my phrase again here, Jonna, a thought leader in the real estate space here in Central Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
and built a little bit of a brand for myself. And when COVID happened and had to stop meeting in person, that was a very big blow to me, because I like showing up and I like speaking in front of the room and I like delivering direct content to people there, and had to step outside my comfort zone to do this show and to do our Facebook challenge and other things like that we've done. And I just am really thankful to, as cliche as it sounds, as lame as it sounds, oh my gosh, I just want you to know that I generally am thankful, audience members, that you're here, that you show up, that you participate, that you tell us what we're doing right, that you tell us what we think we should be doing better. And Josh, you and I know that whenever we get off this show, there's 3 or 4 people who we can, like clockwork, count on texting us and saying, here's what we liked, here's what we didn't like, here's what I was thinking about this part or that part. And that just is such a blessing to us. And you in turn are actually helping bless other people by making this show better. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for my kids. I'm thankful for the great year that we're having as an economy, as individuals and things like that in the real estate space. And I'm thankful for working for a great company over there at Slate House Group. The blessings that I have there and the flexibility that I have it allows me to do a whole bunch of other things like come here. And I was listening to White Christmas, one of my favorite movies. Not only one of my favorite Christmas movies, I mean, that goes without saying, it's one of my favorite all-time movies in any category. There's that, a whole thing in there, when you can't fall asleep, count your blessings instead of sheep, and I won't try to sing. And that is a blessing and something everybody who's one of our listeners should be thankful for. But I just really think that if you put time, effort, and energy into what you're thankful for, and recognize how many things you can be thankful for, it's amazing. Yes, and as my sister said, it only took me 6 months. I can grow a beard and a mustache, in only like 5 times the amount of time it takes for a normal person to grow a beard and mustache. But for the actual sides to come in is easily 10 times And so 6 months in, I have a respectable beard going. And somebody at the drop zone the other day, one of these guys who has like a great porn stash that he wears, right.
Porn stash, that's funny.
Oh, he's got a great. I'll send you a picture once we're off show, and you tell me if he doesn't have the best porn stash ever. He was like, "Hey, Judah, I like the beard, buddy. It's looking good." So yes, I am thankful for the beard.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm really thankful for, and I think we can all be thankful for, we're right at the end of 2020. This crazy, crazy year, there's a lot of things to complain about in 2020. Being cooped up in the house, closing schools, maybe closing schools again, all the other stuff that's going on. But guess what? The year's almost over. Presidential elections behind us. Right. Very thankful for that. It's so cool to see a lot of the calamity that could have been this year put to bed and put behind us and moving on. I'm thankful that we live in a country that, regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum, we're going to have a peaceful transfer of power and continue to be the light of the world, for lack of a better term, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at where we were as a world and as a nation 100 years ago, and you look at what infant mortality is, what real poverty is, if you look at what life expectancy is, if you look at how there's so few real and actual wars going on, if you look at just any metrics you want across the spectrum, the world is a great and wonderful place to live in right now, and we should absolutely be thankful for that. And also, we're coming up on the end of the year, which is a great time for a reset. I know that I am planning on having the best. My goal for 2021 is that it will be as good. Fitness, faith, financial, family. Fitness, faith, financial, family. And I said this out of order. Please forgive me. It's obviously, what is it? It's faith, family, fitness, finance is the way those 4 F's should go. My goal is that 2020 will be 3 times better than will be as good as the last 3 years combined. That's my goal. As far as my family accomplishments, and the memories that we make, as far as the fitness goals that I achieve, as far as the my faith, and as far as what else I do in the finance world, personal finances, saving, investing, earning, all of those things across the board. So I'm thinking right now about what that is, and I'm not just thinking about what am I going to be doing in 2021? I'm making those plans and taking action right now. So one of the things that I'm looking at doing is, okay, which gym am I going to join? And do I want to pay for the year up front, or do I want to pay monthly? Who's my gym accountability partner going to be? I'm going to reach out to that person, and I want to start talking with them about that right now. What other, what amount of marketing am I going to be spending on my business? And where is the money for that marketing going to come from? And do I have it earmarked? And who am I going to spend it with? Well, I already know the Facebook guru that I'm going to be working with, and some other things like that to really take some of my businesses to the next level. And also, we've got a big hairy goal at Slate House Group. If we do a couple of things right, we're going to end the year at about 5,000 units, and so our goal is to get to 5,000 units. So we're certainly not coasting. I've got a number of real estate transactions that I'm trying to close personally and professionally. I've got a bunch of business with Slate House Group that I'm trying to do, and a bunch of other goals that I'm trying to accomplish by year's end. And I would just encourage everybody that's out there not to rest on their laurels, not to sit around, not to do nothing between now. By the way, the goal is to get to 100 skydives as well by the end of the year. By January 1st, actually get to 100. And that's dicey with cold weather and COVID precautions and all other kinds of things like that. So I would just encourage everybody, don't sit around and do nothing in December.
Well, so if you rewind the clock 2 years, okay, 2 years ago, at the end of November, there was a huge downturn in the real estate market, and people kind of panicked.
And the stock market too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the stock market. The stock market tanked, and people panicked in December in the real estate market. I got some of the best deals I've ever gotten during that month, and they were direct from wholesaler. They weren't even direct from seller. It was all of the big buyers, all of the developers just kind of backed out and said, oh my goodness, we've been waiting for this shift. It's here. And everybody withdrew. And guess what? January, the market went like this, whoop, right back up. And the real estate market rallied right back, and demand rallied right back. But in the meantime, I picked up 6 units that were continue to be really, really great investments. So December is a great time to rest. If you made great money this year, put your feet up, kick back, enjoy the family. If you haven't, and you're looking at 2021 and saying 2021 is going to be my best year ever, or we got to make some major changes and kick it off in 2021, December is a great time to get traction and get momentum moving into the new year. Stay focused, spend time with your family when you have to, but work your butt off for a month.
Yeah, I think that taking action is definitely key. And Josh, that was one of the biggest things that came out of us doing that Facebook Live, Facebook challenge that we did, that week-long Facebook challenge, was not just that, hey, Josh, you and I took action and we were able to accomplish that, but also how many people in the backside of that said, I took action for the first time. I did a real estate deal. I have a property under contract now that I'm looking to wholesale, or I've completed. What did that one woman say to us, that she completed like 3 wholesale transactions for a total of $50,000 net in her back pocket, or was it only 2? Some stupid numbers like that.
Well, the crazy thing, I mean, we had people reach out and be like, hey, listen, I did my first deal. Finally did my first deal. I've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, and finally pulled the trigger and did my first deal. That's huge. I mean,
I think that's absolutely huge. I think that you should absolutely be looking at that and as motivation and inspiration. If you're sitting on the sidelines, now is the time to get involved in real estate. Now is the time to be wholesaling properties. Now is the time to be buying properties, or fixing up and selling properties. And I think that what we're looking at is, especially here in central Pennsylvania, we are only going to continue to be buoyed by people wanting to move out of Baltimore, people wanting to move out of Philadelphia, people wanting to move out of New York and the New York metro area. And I just see central Pennsylvania continuing to rise. And I know that we've got listeners from other places, but I think that now is a great time for secondary and tertiary markets.
So let's use that as a backdrop real quick. We're going into 2021, a little over a month from now, 32 days from now. We're going to be at January 1st. What are you going to do? What do you want to accomplish next year? I mean, and in order to get there, in order to get to your action steps, you got to get an idea of what you want to do. Right. And so setting goals is about looking into the future and making yourself promises. These things will be a fact a year from today. They're not about pie in the sky ideas, right? It's not, I've never flipped a house before, I want to do 20 units next year. If you do that, you're either going to, going to be upset, or you're going to lose a ton of money. If you've never done a deal before, do 1. If you've done 3 or 4 or 5 and you want to double your inventory or your production, what's it going to take to get you there? What are the steps that you need to take on a daily basis? The interesting thing that that a couple of years ago, I always thought, I always look at a 10-year outlook, right? 10 years from now, here's where I want to be. Then take it back to 5, then 2, then 1, then 6 months, then 2 weeks or a month or whatever. When you break those down into smaller steps, what's interesting is they move exponentially. So to get to, let's say you want to make $1 million a year in the next 10 years, right? You want to make $1 million. That doesn't mean at year 5, you're making $500,000. It doesn't mean that this year you have to make 100,000 and you just, and you incrementally add. It means that you learn the skills to get you from zero to making $1 this month.
Right.
And then you go from $1 to $10 or $100. By the time you get to the 5-year mark, the things that you're working on are completely different than they were the 5 years before. And by the time you get to that 10-year goal, at 5 years, you might be at 10% of where you need to be at 10 years. But you've
got momentum and you're moving forward and you're making it happen, and exponentially it kicks in. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to wrap up, as we kind of, begin to land this airplane, I would just tell you personally, I'm working on shooting a video course that I have written out that I've scripted during COVID. And my videographer and I met, not last week because it was Thanksgiving, but the week before that. We set a goal to meet 3 times and shoot for 3 hours every time that we met. We met 2 times and we only shot for about 2 hours each time. But guess what? We hadn't really shot much the month before at all. So by hitting a goal that was attainable, by setting a goal that was attainable, it was a little bit of a stretch, but attainable. We missed our goal, but we did more than what we would have done had we not set the goal at all. So a lot of people don't like to set goals because they don't like to define their failure. And they don't want to say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, because then if they don't, then they've just defined how much they've failed by. Mm-hmm. But if you set a goal that works, that is attainable, and you work towards it, you will accomplish more than if you would have just said, well, I'm going to lose as much weight as possible. Yeah. I'm going to do the best I can at losing weight. No, I want to lose 10 pounds by January 15th. And here's what I'm going to do to try and accomplish that. I mean, we could get into a whole goal setting thing here, which we're not going to. I just wanted to say that I set a goal. It was a short-term goal. It was a productivity goal. And it was an action oriented. It was, I am going to do these actions. Not I want to make this money or have lost this weight or whatever. It's I'm going to take these actions this week that will lead to my bigger goal. And even though I missed, I was still better off than had I not set the goal at all.
Well, and Judah, this is what, okay. Do you ever screw up a rehab? I have. And most of the time when I screw up the rehab, it's when I have screwed up the rehab, it's because you look at this humongous project and it's like, okay, these are the big items that I have to take care of. But the truth is, yes, you have to have planning. You have to hire your subs. You have to oversee what's happening. But if let's say that let's say you have to put a new roof on the house, okay? You got to put a new roof on the house, and the first roofer you talk to, he can't start for 2 weeks. So you call another roofer. He's a month out. Next guy's 3 weeks. And it takes you a week to get through all the bids to find somebody that can get on that roof really quick. Meanwhile, if you'd have hired that first guy, he'd be a week from starting by the time you hire somebody else who's a week from starting. And you got to take an action today, because even if it's a small action, it's something. It's a step forward. It's a step closer to where you want to be. So if you're sitting there watching our show today and you've always wanted to be a real estate investor, or you're investing in real estate and you want to up your volume, or sit down as soon as the show's over, take 30 minutes and write down 5 things that you can do in the next week to get you closer to the goal where you want to be. 5 things. That's simple. I mean, 5 of anything you can pick off the top of your head, probably. And then just implement them. Every day, do 1. Every day, do 1. And then next week, you do 10. And you do 2 a day, and slowly implement those things. You're going to be amazed at how much progress you make in a really short period of time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it builds on each other, and you get Mighty Mo to show up, momentum. Yeah. So when Mighty Mo shows up, it's amazing. It's amazing what can happen. Well, listen, guys, that's all the time we have for today. We really appreciate you. We are truly thankful for everybody. Josh and I are going to be back here on Thursday and Friday of this week, bringing you more great content. And definitely think that you should tune in and check us out. And until then, please like and share the show and tell others about it. And that's how we grow. That's right. All right, guys. Build and grow with real estate. Have a great day. Till we see you on Thursday. Go make some money, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. See ya. Everybody.